Good afternoon, good evening, good day, Finding Me family. Now this is going to be a very weird looking video to all of you because it's being done in the mirror. Now, first I want to apologize for my absence in posting videos. I can honestly admit I'm just really not a video type of person, first of all. Second, I want to give a quick catch up as to what's been going on with Finding Me in 2017. So to start the new year off right, we focused on new beginnings and letting go of anything that happened in the past. So that has happened. We let go of the past. We let go of what happened in 2016. We leave it in 2016 and we leave it into the years, months, weeks, days, seconds, moments, all of those things that happened before 2016 and 2016. So for January 2017, I thought about doing these challenges, and because I found them on Pinterest, so I will admit that, like I did earlier in the other video that I posted. I'm not sure if I posted it that one, but anyways, the challenges go for 52 weeks. So every week of 2017 there will be a challenge posted, and the challenge is 52 weeks of soul searching. So you have 1 week to focus on one topic, to dig deep within yourself and create a routine for yourself. And then there's 365 inspirational words. So you get 1 word per day. Use it however you like. Make it apply to you. It doesn't apply to you. It's just a nonchalant word. Blah 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 blah. And then I did the monthly challenges. So January was a challenge, gratuity challenge. So every day there was a question posed as to what you're grateful for in your life. It could have been a person, people, things, moments, memories, holidays, anything. So for February, I want to start out by saying Happy Black History Month. Black History is not just about 1 month, and especially the shortest month in the entire year. Black History Month is every single day. And then I want to also say Happy National Freedom Day. I'm not sure if it's today, tomorrow, but I know there's a National Freedom Day in the month of February. Now, to tell you why, I also chose February for this special viewing process or videos is because we actually celebrate love in the month of February. And that is Valentine's Day. So with us celebrating love, we tend to give out more than we're receiving. We tend to focus on everyone except for self. So with that being said, now you get to understand why this video is being done with my phone and me looking in a mirror. I wanted to do this reflections in the mirror because all of us talk to ourselves in the mirror. That's one. 2, it's kind of hard for you to look yourself in the eye and tell a lie without crying. And it's all about loving who's looking back at you in the mirror. So that explains the reflections in the mirror. So I'm going to start off by telling you that February, again, is going to be focused on the self-love challenge. So February's monthly challenge is going to be self-love. And the reason I'm doing this is because I will admit that I am promoting my book, Finding Me. And 2, I want to share with you how I began my journey of finding myself and loving myself, and what inspired me to start the whole Finding Me thing. So the first part of the book is going to talk about the creation of me. Moi, Miss Sincere Heart. For those of you who know me personally, it's Shantae. And it talks about the creation of me. It talks about the relationship that my parents had, things that they experienced before they found each other, and then it talks about what happened before I was conceived, and that includes my siblings, but it doesn't go into detail with them. It just kind of skims over them. And I'm choosing to do this again because, one, this ties into Black History Month. Two, it ties into self-love. And the reason it ties into Black History Month is because I am a child of a Black father and a white mother. Now, some people identify that as being biracial. Some people identify that as being mixed. And I used to be one of those people. I typically don't like to identify myself as that anymore. I refer to myself as a Native American. And I refer to myself as a Native American because I have Native culture in my background. But going forward, being a child of a white mother and a Black father back in those days, I'm not going to say exactly how long ago those days were, but we all know that slavery really hasn't been, progressed forward not too long ago. So at the time that my parents began dating each other, it was still frowned upon for people to be dating outside of their race and their culture. So you can already imagine the backlash that they got just from loving each other and liking each other and being intimate with each other. Now, with me being brought into the picture, that increased more racism, racial slurs, and all of the other things that you can imagine. But the difficult part of this is it's so I can't find the right word, but it's almost like traumatizing to a child when I'm sitting on my knees, just so y'all know. It's almost traumatizing to a child when you bring a child into a black and white family. And what I mean by that is if both parties are not willing to say, hey, I understand that he's black, he's white, she's white, and love you and your children together, then there's going to be always these racial comments, these racial behaviors. There's going to be something behind it. And with me, I experienced my own, and when I say my own, I truly do mean my own grandparents calling me a nigger baby and calling me a nigger child and trying to tone me down because my hair is coarse and thick and curly, and I was just too dark to be a white girl, but I was not so much dark enough to be just labeled as a black girl. I've been confused as many different things, and there were things that happened before I was born, comments that were made, actions that had taken place. And then after I was born, we really don't start to gain our memory. I want to say until around like 4 or 5 years old. We have blurry vision of things that happen around like the 2-3-year-old stages. But ever since I came into my own realization that I could remember things and I was able to comprehend some things, especially feelings. Like, people don't realize that children identify with feelings and energy and emotions so much more than adults do. But again, ever since I can remember that, I was able to identify those own things within myself. I didn't like being called a nigger baby or a nigger child, and I didn't like being treated unfairly. And when I mean unfairly, I mean like my brother is Caucasian. My oldest brother on my mother's side is completely Caucasian. He's white. His father is white. His mother, my mother, our mother is white. So he's completely white. And growing up in that family, my sister, my older sister, her father is black as well. So we would tend to get treated differently. And what I mean by that is during family events, family gatherings, holidays, just because, like, anytime something was done or purchased, the white children in the family got treated better. They got more, they got better. And then here are the two little black girls didn't get so much of what the other children got. We didn't get that fair treatment, that equal amount of love, or just that love in general. It was always, here, let me give them something so they shut up. We got the plastic little Barbie dolls. You know, the Barbie dolls that you sit down and their legs pop off, or you try to put their arms up and their arms pop off, and you try to comb their hair and their head pops off. We got those little cheap ass babies. And when holidays came around and, you know, we got gifts like Christmas and stuff like that, all the little white kids, their little gifts were under a nice big pretty Christmas tree. They got the pajamas, they got all the good fancy stuff. And then here are our little, you know, the little nigger babies. Our gifts were they were at a desk under the chair of the desk. And we didn't get all that good fancy stuff. You know, we really didn't even get to sit on Santa's lap. Not that I gave a damn about sitting on Santa's lap, but I just, you know, you as a child, you tend to know when things aren't being done fairly. And it bothered me as a child, but it didn't bother me enough to the point where I wanted to be a little white girl. It didn't bother me enough to the point where I wanted to be something or someone that I wasn't. I was always accepting of my thick, curly, coarse hair. I love my thick, curly, coarse hair. I was always accepting of my skin tone. Not to say that a dark-skinned person's skin tone is bad, because trust me when I say this, I love, like, I'm infatuatedly in love with chocolate skin. Like, y'all don't even understand. If you know who my man is, you know how much I love my chocolate skin. But the whole purpose of me sharing this beginning part of that is because with identifying self-love and identifying that you want to find out who you are, where you are, what you come from, what you're about, and being happy with who you are, what you are, who you've become, you have to start at the beginning. Now, what made me prompt myself to start at the beginning was I went back to counseling as an adult, and I can admit I'm still in counseling. I've been in counseling 3 years now, maybe 3 years, I don't know. But I went back to counseling, and I was very upset about going back to counseling. And I was upset because I didn't want to tell the stories over again. And it bothered me so much, and it made me so angry because I had been through counseling. I'm like, why the hell am I going to counseling again? This shit didn't do anything for me back then, so what the fuck is it going to do for me now? And I probably shouldn't cuss, but that's the truth. So I went to counseling, and I was like, you know what? People want me to go to counseling. They want to hear this. I'm going to give it all I got, and I'm going to see if the counselor can handle my life. So I was like, since I gotta tell my story, I'm gonna tell y'all all of this shit. And when I mean all of this shit, I mean all of it from the beginning. Let's go. Did it. Boom. Started telling that. Now, I had previously told my story to a couple of people that I knew, you know, friends that I had met, friends that I had known, you know, people that grew up in my, you know, we grew up together. They know my story because some of us have very similar stories. And everyone kept saying, oh my God, you need to share your story. You need to share your story, share your story, share your story. And I had got to the point where I was like, you know what? No, I don't want to share my story. Because anytime I tell one small piece of my story to someone, I end up comforting them instead of them comforting me. Not that I looked for their comfort, but how much sense does it make for you to tell your story to someone, or a piece of your story to someone, and they're the one crying and you have to comfort them? That doesn't make any sense. So when I ran across people who were strong enough or could at least hold themselves together enough to listen to the story, they started again telling me, you know, you need to share your story. You have a lot to share. You have a lot to offer the world. And again, I was just like, no. So to get to the punch, I started writing the book. And I can admit I struggle with getting this book written because there are just things that I've experienced in life that I don't want to re-experience again. PTSD. I can admit that exists inside of me. But I'm going to overcome it. It's not going to overcome me. So when I started writing the book, something prompted me to a friend that I had just met like a couple of years ago. He was like, oh my God, you should do videos because like the way your delivery is so capturing. And I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm not too good in front of the camera, bro. But I took his advice and I started doing YouTube videos. And then lo and behold, here comes the Google Plus Finding Me page and all of the other social media Finding Me pages. So that's how Finding Me came into existence. There's more to me being a biracial child or a child of a black and white couple. But I'm not going to get into that part right now. Again, I just want to remind you that the reason why I started at this point is because I wanted people to know that the way I began finding my self-love and my happiness and this journey of finding me is by starting at the beginning. We don't think that something happened to us when we were a child. We tend to forget a lot of the things that happened to us as children, because as children, all you want to do is play and have fun. Nobody wants to do anything nobody wants to experience bad things. Nobody wants to remember that they experienced bad things. So you never know what you could have inherited. You never know what was forced upon you. Like a religion could have been forced upon you. A way of life, which is also religion, could have been forced upon you. You could have gotten something in your DNA from something that your parents did, that their parents did, and so on. A lot of the things that we experience now as adults have a lot to do with what happened to us and what we inherited from our families. So